All right, so we're going to set up Lightroom to bring in images and keep track of them. This technique is real good for basic digital imaging management. It's good for all uses of Lightroom that you want to keep track of your pictures. It's particularly great if you're working on a documentary project. It just makes it easier to find your pictures years in the future. Before we even get to Lightroom, we want to set up, and as you can see probably by the interface, you can see I'm working on a Mac. You want to set up a directory structure to keep track of your pictures. I just have put my images from my camera here on my desktop, Lightroom demo source, and then I've given the folder that I'm placing the pictures in the International Standards Organization format for expressing a date. You have year, month, and day. Be sure you include 0 in front of the 6. 01, 02, 03, etc. Don't forget that 0 or things won't organize properly in your database. Also 17, if this were 7, that is June 7, I'd want to write 0607. And right now you can tell looking at this that these photographs were taken on June 17, 2017. The information is embedded in the EXIF data in the photographs, and when we import it from Lightroom, we're going to call on that information to add an ISO standard date prefix to these original file names. Where are we going to put them? Again, before you even start Lightroom, you want to know where you're going to put them so you can organize a project and have all your pictures there. This is just a demo, so I have this on another drive. This is a big deal. I strongly recommend that you do not make your digital negatives on the drive of your computer because your computer drive's going to fill up probably sooner than later, even if you have a large size drive. This, putting it on an external drive, allows you to get a drive for each large project you're working on. So right now you can see this is a lot of photography that was made in Italy. I have not only the digital negatives but also some working images that I've done post-production on. For now we'll just put a Lightroom demo here, and then notice the name of that. It reflects this name, only that says raw, and this says digital negative. So we're set to go now. Let's go ahead and launch Lightroom and make a new catalog for this. You can see this is Lightroom Classic. I prefer Lightroom Classic because the post-production tools are more extensive. And right now we have no pictures. The catalog indicates all photographs 0. The collections, we're going to make those to keep track of these images. So we need to bring stuff in. You can go under File to import, or just go down here and click the Import button. Now we need to go to where the pictures are, Desktop, and the raw files are right in here. So I'm going to copy these as DNG. Right now it is defaulted just to add. That means it'll bring the images in and it will not make copies of them. It's not going to rename them. This is a good, quick way to work. It's maybe instead of using Bridge, you could use this. But what we want to do is copy as digital negatives. If you don't want to make digital negatives are about the closest thing to a non-proprietary raw file that we have. If you look over here and you know your cameras, you know that's a Canon camera that made those pictures. If I used a Nikon, it would be an NEF. And those are proprietary, those raw files. That code is owned by the manufacturers. And DNG, though it was developed by Adobe and maintained by Adobe, it's still supposedly open for everybody to use. So I like the idea of copying as DNG rather than just copying. Everything is selected by default. You can unselect whatever you want to do. And let's look over here to this column, Set Standard build smart previews. This will allow you to work remotely off of the cloud using your Creative Cloud subscription. If you don't want to import duplicates, you could check that. I would rather make my own second copy rather than click this. I have a hard time keeping track of where this goes, so you can specify right here, but I leave this off. Rename files. This is a big deal. You want to do date and file name. And there are a number of ways you can express date and file name, and to be sure that you are using the ISO standard. You know, if you look under here on file name, you want to, here we go. Sorry, I'm showing you the wrong thing here. Down here, there are different ways to express a date. You want year, 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 month, month, day, day. And if this is blank, you would just insert it. So, I mean, if you had to make it from scratch, which you wouldn't, just make sure you go to this, go insert, and then you want the original file name on it, and click insert. And so we're all set. I'm going to go ahead and just do my standard. I have a little dash in there, which you may or may not need depending on what your original file name is, and click done. And then let's go down here and look at a couple other things. On develop settings, once you make your initial import and can start developing, that is apply lens corrections, you can apply this. Like, since I've been working for a while, I could use an import standard, and all this does for me is to insert the lens profile into the file information, so that if there's slight curvature or darkening at the edges of the frame, that'll take care of that. And metadata, again, you would be wise to make yourself a metadata template. So if you just go to new, you can create your own template, give it a name. You know, I call mine, depending on what I'm doing, say JV standard. One thing you might want to do is set copyrighted, you know, letting everybody know that it's not public domain, that they can't use it without contacting you. IPTC, International Press and Telecommunications Council. You can add that. You can add copyright here. Please contact photographer, whatever you want to do. Creator, your name, your address, your contact information. These things, when you export your raw file as a TIFF or as a JPEG, you can strip this identifying information off of here. And you can look through there, and if you want to go online and find out about all these IPTC extensions, you can do that. Keywords, if you do add a keyword to it, like these were made in the upper in the Foggia area in the region of Puglia in Italy, so you could put those on there as keywords, but be sure that any keywords you put on there are applicable to all the images you're bringing in. You could also put more generic ones like grass, field, landscape, you know, whatever you want to do, and that'll make it so that you can search for that. So I'm going to cancel this out and go ahead and just put my standard metadata on there. Okay, so where are we going to put this? I want to take it and put it into one folder. This can be a little confusing, but if you set it up in advance, it's not confusing at all. So what you want to do is put it in one folder. Well, what folder do you want to put it in? If you remember, okay, let's close this up. We don't even need this open. If you remember, we set up that digital negative folder over here in this drive, this USB-C 4 terabyte. So we want to put these here. And as we start importing, it'll fill this up with these 14 files. Only you'll see the date on them. So let's go ahead and find that, which is here, and right here at Lightroom Demo. We want to put it there. So we're all set. You know, you could double check, make sure it builds smart previews, rename files. Big deal, big deal. Make sure you do that. Like I said, develop settings, you'll build those later once you get just one image into the develop module. And just to make it clear, copy is digital negative. Copy is DNG. You could do it as copy, in which case you'd get the .cr2 extension. Nothing wrong with that. I just like to have that more generic. So at this point, we're ready to import, and we can see the little bar up there. It's copying and importing photographs. And let me do a command tab and look at our area is filling up. So it first brings the file in with the base name, and then it renames it. So we have our photographs here under DNG. The reason this number is changing is because it's renaming, it's going on and building previews. You can see it changing from CR2 to DNG. Let's go back over here. We have these two operations in progress. Smart previews were built, and this is great because we're going to be able to work on those now remotely. So that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and just start building a collection. Like one thing that I can do is build it by date. Let's make a collection set and then a collection. So let's create a collection set. A collection set holds collections. You can't put images into a collection set. But we're going to call this Lightroom demo, and I'm not putting it in a collection set right now because this is a set itself, so you can do nested collection sets. Let's go create, and this is down here, and there's nothing there. So let's click on here, and you can go, I guess, Command N, or click up here again and go create collection. And this one, I'm going to call it just the name of the photographs. In fact, I could make a collection set to put these in, but let's just stay simple. So we had 2019 dash 06 dash, what was it, 17, right? Not 07. And I do want it inside here. If I just wanted it into this root structure, I could take that off. But we'll click in here. And since I only have one set, I click on here and there's nothing else available. 2019, 617, create. And these 14 photographs, to find what I just imported, you could go to all photographs. Since this isn't a particularly ambitious collection, I only have 14 pictures, but after you have tens of thousands of pictures in there, click on previous import, and that brings everything in. Then Command A to select them all. In fact, we could have done this and then make a collection and include these. Click and drag, again, not onto the collection, but the collection set. And now we have all these. If we can click on here, it all looks the same. I just rotated everything vertical. I did it. Just you can do it other places, but keyboard command is command left bracket. So there we have all of these. And you can make sub-collections now of these. For example, this is grass, it's beside a road, but let's pretend like we just want a collection with pieces of road in it. So what I can do is click, Shift-click, Command N, or notice I'm not in catalog, I'm not in folders. Okay, go down here to collections, click, create collection. And in this case, yeah, I do want to include all that. And I'm going to call it 2019-06-17-roads. So now those 4 are in here. If I decide, for example, that oh gee, that's not really enough road, that looks like grass, I can delete that, and you may or may not have noticed, probably didn't, but that number went from 4 to 3, but this number stayed as 14. So the picture is right here, and you would say, geez, I wish I wouldn't have done that. Yeah, of course, at this point, you could do a Command Z, but let's go over here and drag it back in. So these collections are a way of arranging things. And that's about it. That's the basics. Let me add just a couple more things here. You can put in titles here. So let's just do a quick title here. Let's call this grass to the left. A lot of thought in that. And caption, this is a picture of grass on the left of a larger panorama. All right, so there's that. And you do want to say, you can do a Command S, but you do want to save the metadata because I just added, and you can read that on your own. I just added that metadata to this. So if I click here and go back, I can see the title. I'm going to put a cap on that so it's easier to recognize. And we can go over here. And actually, let me copy this. Click Command C. Let's go over here. Name that. Click. Yes. More grass. And then tab to get down to caption. Command V. This is a picture of grass. This is a picture of grass on the left of a larger panel. This is a picture of grass to the right of the grass on the left of a larger panorama. And Command S, and I say, and I save that to that file. So this is a good way if you wanted to do a layout, for example, in Word or in InDesign. You can take these pictures and export them multiple times in whatever size you want them to be. And you have the title here. Click once, Command C. Go over to your other application, whether or not that be InDesign or Word, someplace that you need the title. Maybe you're putting a website together. And then click once here, Command C, and you'll bring over the caption. Well, how about thumbnail images? What about pictures? Well, these DNG files, you definitely don't want to place those in an InDesign document. Even if it would work, I don't know if it would or not. I'm not living on the edge enough to have tried it. But we can export them for an InDesign document at a smaller size, or depending on the size of your raw file, you could export them just once as your full size. And if you're working on full size to print, you likely want to export these as a TIFF. Let's look at export just for a second here. And to export, you can go down here and click export. And we have a bunch of presets here. But if I were doing this to put on a website, to put into a Google slide deck, into a PowerPoint, I would want to export this as a JPEG. It would be much smaller. So this is not set up for a JPEG right now. To do that, walk down here, image format, JPEG. You want that sRGB color space that it defaulted to. I like kind of a happy medium quality of 80. Not so high that it greatly increases the file size. And you could resize to fit long edge. Now, if you're putting together a website, for example, say Squarespace, if I'm remembering correctly, Squarespace asks you to upload your images at a size of 1500 pixels. Okay, and right now this is set to resolution of 300. If you're just doing it online electronically, I guess the resolution doesn't matter that much, but I'll tend to set it to 72, which is kind of old school Mac, and sharpen for screen right here. Here's where I was talking about metadata. Do you want to include all metadata? You want to remove the person info? You want to remove the location info? You know, this is significant here. And in fact, when we're done here in a second, we'll go over and look real quick about how to attach global positioning system data to it. So, you know, include what you want to. Maybe all you want to have is copyright and contact information. And in which case, then you could add all this stuff as a new preset, and that'll get you a JPEG file. If you're going to export as a TIFF, you would, you know, for me, I have a preset here for a full-size TIFF, format TIFF, ProPhoto RGB. That's typically the one to go with. Some people like to work in Adobe RGB 1998, but that gives you a significant reduction in the color gamut that you're working with. I don't need compression. This is 48-bit color, right? Red, green, blue, 16, 32, 48. So it's 16 bits per component. I don't want it resized. The resolution is fine here. It's just the resolution that my camera is giving me at. If you want to set it to 300, you could. And for me, I don't sharpen on the output. I'd rather do some post-production later in Photoshop and sharpen it there. And by the way, this export is done after you've finished everything. You have your title, your caption, and the important stuff, which we're not looking at right now, which is the post-production. Like everything should be done. And then you can bring it into Photoshop if you want to and click export and you're all set. And as I said, let's click and get out of that. Everything should be done. And right now, an important thing that we haven't done, you know, important for documentary work and other things too, is to attach GPS data to it. And I use a software that automatically uploads to the cloud. Let's select all of these, Command A, and geotag them. So if you go to the map module here, you can see all the images, and I want to back off a little bit. I want to download, here's Foggia right up here. So this is in the area that we're working. And this little squiggly line here is going to let you load your track log. So if I go to load track log, and where did this come from? This downloaded from the cloud, or I should say I downloaded this from the cloud and put it in the correct directory. Super easy if you're using, you know, and the software I use is Geotags Photo Pro, I guess it's version 2, because when you start the trip, your iPhone or whatever you're using records. Good idea to have that phone hooked up to battery. It records the information, and then when you end the trip, it automatically uploads. I have it upload to a directory on my Google Drive. So if you look here, it's crazy easy to find it because it's the same date that you made the photographs. And you have an opportunity to name that file at the very start of your trip. It's real nice mobile app. So I'm going to choose that, click, and there's my track log going from Bari up to this Foggia region down here in Panni. So there's a track log, and then I can auto tag my 14 selected photos. So it's going to go in there and tag all of them. In this case, I was out of range. I could have picked better ones, I guess, for the example, but I didn't want to have any people or recognizable places in it. And it was so remote that it does not have the data. But if it did have the data, you'd see this popping up all the way, or actually they'd be all popping up over here because this is just the route that I drove. So you have to be in range. All right, so if we go back to library, I think we're, one more thing, I guess. Let's do this. Let's talk about where we put these when you export them. So to export all, I'd go click Command A, click on Export, and let's say we're making a set of JPEGs, you know, like Squarespace size JPEGs. Where are you going to export it? I have this set up by default to choose folder later. So if I go export, where do you want to put it? I definitely don't want to put it here. It's up to you. You know, let's put it here under Lightroom demo, and my digital negatives here. I definitely don't want to put it here, but under Lightroom demo, let's just go ahead and do a new folder, and I'm going to call this 2019-06-17-Road Pano. Okay, why not call it just Road Panel? Well, the reason I don't want to call it just Road Panel, though I sure could, is if somehow this directory gets moved, or somehow these things get dissociated, I'll be able to go into Lightroom and find my original files, you know, or just into my directory structure, find the raw or the DNG. So as I open this, it's going to generate those 14 files. And in fact, if you're doing a layout, like say InDesign, for example, or Word, these would be great to put in there because they're a nice thumbnail size. They're not too big. They're 1 megabyte. And the DNG, if I exported those as a TIFF, it would be over 100 megabytes. So this is good for just using as thumbnails, but as far as project output and needing something to print, needing final high quality images, you'd want to export your full-size TIFF. And that's about it.